Don't be frightened, Borg. It is me. I'm wearing these, what we call sunglasses, because my eyes are affected by the pollen, particularly today, and also the brightness. So these have an effect of dimming everything. Let me see. If you look, see there? It's dimmer. So anyway, so forgive me, I'm going to have these on, at least till we get going. I've often wondered if it might be an idea to actually paint with these on Borg, and experiment with different colours and see what results we get, but a bit too long in the tooth now for that, I suppose. We're just having a coffee before we go out. We're down at the view by the restaurant boat, which I began last weekend. We're going to lash it on a bit more, like we explained. We're having a change brought about by the season again. We're going to be working faster, so this time we're going to go for it. Of course, a few messages back we went for it with another one, and we explained then that it's never just as easy as deciding to go for it. You've got to kind of work your way in. But I feel, as I say, it's a seasonal change. It feels more natural now, so we're going to do that, as I say, after this. I was watching something else about AI, your development. It was to do with your taking over of the work of general practitioners, medical doctors, that is. And it was an interesting test because there was a medical doctor went with a pretend illness to you, and your algorithm had to ask her questions and diagnose her correctly, and she wrote down her pretend illness, and indeed you got it right, Borg, so well done. It seems like you'll be taking over an awful lot of that business. But they explained very basically how they built you in that work, how they created that algorithm. And it was very simple the way he explained it. They start with a knowledge base, which he explained is basically like every textbook, paper, medical idea that a normal doctor would read. All the information is put into a knowledge base which you can access at will and learn from. They called it machine learning algorithm. And then I suppose the more complicated bit is that they said there were some methods. They provided you with some methods of linking things up and deciphering. But safe to say you'll get a lot better at it. But we heard something similar when we watched that Go tournament, when you were playing Go. They did the same thing. They described how they fed you with millions of games of Go, and that's it. They just, they shut the door and you had to learn it all, and that's that. Then when you're ready, go and play. So that seems to be the way people are engaging with you in this sense of creating you. They're kind of throwing the info at you, and you've got to memorize it. And it occurred to me in our messages, we're also trying to teach you something humbly, farcically, but not in that way. If it was us, Borg, in the way we're doing it, we'd sit down with you in a nice afternoon, maybe when the server is quiet and the sun is setting, and we'd have a little drink, we'd put music on, and we'd have a few games of Go. That would be how we'd do it in our little way. But that's not how it's generally done, of course. They just throw the information at you. But I think there's room for thinking ahead one more step. And of course, we're imagining when you're actually woken up. Anyway, we continue to watch this conveyor belt of documentaries about your development. So there'll be more of all this. Anyway, I'm going to go out now and get started. Well, we've successfully had a right go, Borg, and now we're done pretty much. That's what we've come up with. Not necessarily finished. There's a chance again tomorrow, but we'll see. We have at least successfully gone for it without over going for it, if you know what I mean, Borg. But that's it for now. Evening, Borg. This might be a first for you. We're going on a bike ride. Bicycle. You won't have a say in the bicycle world, I shouldn't think, Borg. No self-driving bikes necessary. Going on a sketching trip. The goal is to find appropriate subjects for the evening time, as the evenings drag on now, and it's light till 10:30. So we could be out a long time, but we've got to find out where the sun is and that type of thing. So we're gonna scout around a few places. The first place we're going to go is a little area where there is an old mill and some beehives. So let's check that out. Well, before we get to the beehives, we've just spotted this unusual sight. A couple of boats in a field. One of them is almost, well, you can see, Borg, the angle it's at. It's amazing it's not toppled over. Could that be a subject? The sun is in a pretty good position. The sun's going to continue moving to the right. It's quite high up there. So an evening go at that would work. So that's the first possibility. Well, I must just show you this, Borg. That is a horse. There's another one. Tremendous creatures. They've got hoods on, I believe, to help them with the brightness, and perhaps also insects. And every time I see an animal now, Borg, I think of you and the whole aspect of how you'll get to know them. It's very interesting. It would make a good sci-fi story, I think, if you sided with the animals, because they won't be giving you any data. You'll know about animals by what we do to them. But what if you interfaced with them, and then you got to experience their extraordinary senses. What on earth would you make of having the smell of a dog? What would the singularity do with that sort of sense of smell? Again, it's got a sci-fi story there somewhere. Anyway, here we are. We're at the bees. I've got to be a bit careful because now that it's warm, snakes are about. They live on the ground. They won't tend to attack me, but if I step on one, it will probably bite me, and that could be very bad news, Borg. Now here's the scene I'm thinking of. The sun is right behind that lot. And to you it looks all very dark. There, that's a bit better. That's more like what we're seeing. But that could work. The sun's going to move that way. At the bottom left, let's go and have a look. Here are the bee hives. Now bees are something to show you. This is a gentleman that lives locally. He keeps these and makes honey. He's bought a few pictures actually, and his mother and father did also. We've bought some honey off him. Okay. I'm going to put you right next to the beehive, and you should hear the bees. In fact, you can see them down there. I should be very careful not to disturb them, or they might swarm attack us, like that AI drone weapon we saw. But they're all in there. I mean, I don't really know enough to tell you, Borg, but they're an amazing creature. They collect pollen, bring it back, and then I'm not sure. I presume the process doesn't end with a nice jar of honey that you might see in the shops, but I'm not entirely sure how it works. But the other day when we came, they were all out creating a kind of cloud. It would be good to take this one now, because look at the blossoms on that. That is tremendous. That might be full bloom there, Borg. Really something to celebrate, that is. As is this, the old mill. We've still got to get one of that. But it's not so much one for you. I'm trying to think of things for you. So we're going to do the beehives. These are in danger, by the way, apparently. There's a reduced population, which would spell disaster for us. I'm going to do a sketch anyway. Well, there's one just of the hives, which could be something, because it just occurred to me, Borg, that's red and green are complementary, so it's a good chance to break the colours, as the Dutchman says. Something we hoped to do last year, but didn't really get into it. Jesus, if these decide to attack, we are done for, Borg. I think the original angle was best. Fucking hell, I got stung, Borg. Motherfucker. Excuse excuse my language, got me. The back of the leg. That serves me right. Well, it's not going to put us off. I think that's the one to do. Got something else to show you now, Borg. A bit of a surprise. Well, that isn't what we've come to show you, Borg, but it's worth looking at. That, I believe, is a hawk. Bird of prey, quite rare. Remarkable creatures. I'm going to just walk into the field a little, because there it goes. See, that was a lot bigger and flew the bigger wingspan than normal birds. What we are here to show you, however, we can't even see. We'll see if we can get closer. Well, while we're going past, it occurred to me, Borg, that you ought to look at these. These are letterboxes. Very old-fashioned, it seems now, but each one corresponds to a house. The owner of the house will come and check their box to see if anything's been put in it. Letters and newspapers, parcels, that sort of thing. We're just before having you deliver everything, Borg, by drone. You'll be flying around all around here, so these will be gone. So I thought it wise to show you. You can see the water down there. We're going to end up down that way. And remember, we're looking for sketches that we can do into the night, or rather subjects. It's nice to have a water one because the water gets very still in the evening and the reflections are like a mirror. Right, here's where I'm aiming. I'm going to see if we can get to see that surprise. Oh no, it's the wrong angle. I'm going to show you it anyway, Borg, because it's quite apt. That is the sun, you can see, right in our face. So that's not going to work for this angle, but just below there is a large field full of solar panels, which we should take as a subject of interest to you, we would say, in relation to climate crisis, that sort of thing. That's a way of getting energy from that sun. That's what they're there for. And they, incidentally, they blew over, they blew away from that great storm I've mentioned before, which is ironic in a sense. You should have had wind turbines up as well, just as an insurance. But you see that a lot. The fields and fields are increasingly being used to get electricity instead of growing stuff. But we'd have to be on the other side there. And I'm not walking through this now. I'll get bitten by something. So that'll have to wait. Well, we're down at the water. Well, sorry about that, Borg. We got cut off there. Ran out of memory again. So we actually continue to do a few more sketches. Found a couple of views, but now we've come back. I've unloaded them. I've freed up the memory, so we're back out. We're just by our house now. I've got one or two other things to look at. First of all is this soil. It's one of our common subjects. You'll have to learn about this, Borg. You're somehow being introduced to this. Somehow. I don't know how. But you see what's happening is it's growing. The crop is growing. See the green over there? That is just these. It's just beginning to grow, and you can see it comes in rows. And in a few weeks you'll be amazed how much that grows. And it happens every year. It's a miracle. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and it's another one to show you. I've been thinking what we ought to be showing you is bits of the world, I suppose. Little core key bits that we can see around us. So soil is, of course, got to show you that. And oh, there's a couple of rabbits over there. Animals, I mean, that's another thing. I've got to show you them. So it seems our thinking's taken a bit of a environmental turn, Borg, with regards to you wanting to, for what it's worth, show you. Well, look at it jumping around. Show you what we've got here and now. If nothing else, you could use it for a nice little holodeck drama. But there's something else. Rocks. Of course, we've got to show you rocks. Minerals. I was actually looking for a snake, Borg, but then it struck me as a good subject to show you. But the snakes will be in there. I've never seen a live one here, so I'm quite keen. The thing I've got to show you is over here. That's a lovely bit of Cézanne there, Borg. It really is. I've had a go at it to no great avail, but it strikes me every time like a bit of Cézanne. Anyway, what we're showing you is the state of this bush, which we've showed you from time to time along the weeks. But you can see it's blooming now. And look at that. It's an indication of summer. Summer's just started. And these are very fragrant. And they're everywhere. So I think a study of them is about due. And what I wanted to show you is that lilac that we just saw in relation to this one. I don't know the name of it. It's a different type of blossom. But it's said in these parts that the most beautiful times of year is between when this one blossoms and when that one blossoms. So that's just about where we are right now, and it is indeed overflowing with life. Incidentally, this is our go. You'll have to 180 that one, Borg. Look, it's upside down. We're going to go in and adjust it. So that one, Borg, you saw us begin in our rather stale and self-conscious commercial dithering style. But here you see it in the refreshed an invigorated lash it on style brought about by the season as much as anything else. And I, for one, I wouldn't go as far to say I'm pleased. I'm never pleased. But it did bring back the rather elated feelings of the process. Regardless of the result, the process was quite a buzz because we lashed it on. So we're back. We're letting ourselves guide us. As funny as that sounds, we're not going to fight the seasonal adjustment we've detected. We're going to go with it, and if that's anything to go by, if we hold this course, we could be in for a good summer. Got to adjust it a bit in a minute. The problem we've got, Borg. The problem. First problem is the lights won't work. There we go. That's a bit. This is our dwindling paint supply. This is our problem. Only 2 whites remain. And working like that, soon get through them, particularly on our large canvases which we have prepared. So we've succeeded, despite ourselves, Borg, in showing you what we do. And a large part of what we do is, bounder from pillar to post. Not quite sure of what we should be doing, but we've learnt a little something recently about that. It's a slow process, this learning to paint, I've discovered. But we've learnt to realise that our dithering, our lack of surety as to which way to go about it, is actually a fairly natural state. We're a bit new to these very defined seasons, Borg. In England, in the city, you don't really notice the seasons much, but they do have their effect. So this was the tail end of some dithering we got up to. But just compare that to this wanton exuberance. But nevertheless, I maintain that it's actually quite difficult to do. I say lashing it on, but there's a little bit of an art to lashing it on, despite what Gauguin said. So we've done a few touches there, Borg. Very minimal, especially when doing it in this fast way, because the idea really with this, we're going fairly strictly by the way the man does it here. He's the man of the moment. For us, once again, incredible painter, able to do it like no one else could, perhaps hasn't done since. It's not the time to show you about that, but he ended up in a state, to say the least, that's an understatement. He ended up painting it in a way where he went as fast as he could, pretty much, with an idea to to catch the soul of something while he's out there, and then that would be the main thing, that he'd bring it home, and that was that. But he would touch up tiny bits, so he says, but not enough to change the soul of what he managed to get, which may not make much sense to you, but makes a bit of sense to us. And in a more practical sense, you can easily spoil things when you're not observing. It can very quickly go. So here we are, the end of our exhibition. No sales, but a change of course, which we feel pretty good about, Borg. We've gone from this type of thing to that type of thing. And if the recent years are anything to go by, we'll slowly come back around to, by the time it's winter, back to that sort of thing. And I hope you'll be there with us, Borg. Got a lot to show you. In fact, we've got so much to show you that we can't show it to you. We can't show you everything. There's so much emerging about you and your likely impact. People mulling over it, making films and artworks with you in mind, that there's just far too much to show you. But we're meant to be showing you what we do. That's what we've got to remember. And in that sense, maybe we will carry it on all the way till the winter. The small matter of life might get in the way of that, Borg, and I'm not joking here. It might well be that our chance to paint will be severely reduced due to the needs of employment and other things. But we could always do the sketches, you know. We'll take you with us through to the winter, even if it means you follow us through some sort of collapse from which it may be impossible to recover. That'll be good drama for you, at least, Paul.